Good morning, everyone. How are you all today? Good morning. Welcome, Lisa Schaefer, her first time at one of our webinars, and Simone Scott in Texas. Good morning. And Lisa Burnett in Texas. I'm in Texas as well. And Sewell Enhancer in Texas. And oh gosh, we've got California, Ohio. Good morning, Clarissa. How are you today? Darlene from the Sunshine State. Stacy Reeves is counting down the days. She's got 2 left for test taking day. Yeah. Oh, Sean Power taking the New York test tomorrow. You've got this. You're going to do great. Everybody send some good thoughts to all of these people who are about to test. A positive attitude goes a long way. Believe in yourself. You've got this. Go in and outsmart this real estate exam. You can definitely do that. Yeah, Lisa's taking her test tomorrow for national. Yeah. Hello, Anajan. How are you today? Yeah, that's right. Let's see that in the chat. Let's have some good positive thoughts going on here today. I want you all to type in the chat, I've got this. Because you do. You have got all the webinars, the videos, all the learning tools, and you are all very smart people. You can pass this exam. So definitely believe in yourself. Today we're going to be talking about property transfer. I have a lot of students who have questions on this part. They get confused on this part. I'm going to make this very easy for you. So don't overthink it. Everything that we're going to be talking about today is going to be in our property transfer suitcase. So let's, during this 40 minutes of this webinar, keep everything very on topic of property transfer, so that you can remember it, you can recall it, you can store it in your property transfer suitcase so you can remember it on the test. Now, I want you to get your pen and paper ready. I want you to make a vocabulary list as we're going through this. We know that vocabulary is the most important thing, and I've been taking that a step further in my webinars to where I am putting the vocabulary list by topic, so that you can store it in your suitcase. So I think that's very helpful for you. Now, if you have taken the test several times before, first of all, I do not want you to feel discouraged. I do not want you to feel bad about that. The test is one that you just have to basically go in and outsmart. It is not well designed. It is confusing. It is not you. So if you've taken the test before, I don't want you to think about that for another moment. All those times you took the test before, just take those and just throw those out of your mind. We're not even going to think about those anymore. We're just going to think about going forward and passing the test this next time. So don't spend another moment saying, oh gosh, why didn't I pass this? Why didn't I pass this? It's not you, it's the test. Let's go ahead and get started. For those of you joining us today, please go in and use all the different learning tools that Prep Agent provides you. We have webinars every day of the week. Also know that you can go back if you're a premium member and you can watch the webinars over and over again. You would just go to webinars, scroll down to previous webinars. For today, you would type in property transfer and you will be able to see the past webinars. I do the same topics over and over again because it's the same information on your test over and over again that I have to prepare you for. Always watch my most recent one on a topic though, because if there has been a rule change, it will always be in my most recent webinar. The audio lessons, maybe you're going out for a walk and you want to listen to an audio lesson. If you like to read the exam prep ebook, very well done. Joe is famous all over the world for his exam prep videos. What a gift he has at helping you remember in a very easy manner the information. You know, vocabulary is everything. You've got a vocabulary worksheet. We have flashcards, and then we have practice exams as well. So when you finish with this webinar today, you can go in, you can take the practice exam specific to this topic. I think it's called, I think it's called title transfer or transfer of title as far as the actual practice exam, but you'll see it there. Know that you can always change where it says 100 questions. You can change that to whatever number that you want. I think 25 is a very effective number of questions on the practice exam for some good learning where you can remember the information. So look at all those different learning tools, figure out what works best for you. It may be one, it may be incorporating all of them, but they're all here for you and they will really, really help. That's right, Lisa Burnett. This exam does not define you. Absolutely. It's just a test that is just one that you have to go in and just kind of learn how to outsmart it a little bit. Let's talk about the different types of deeds. There are 4 different types of deeds. Let's go ahead on your scratch paper, and I'm going to write these down with you so I don't talk too fast and I make sure I've given you enough time to write these down. So let's go in and on your vocabulary list, let's put general warranty deed, special warranty deed, or you could just put special deed, either one, doesn't matter. Bargain and sale deed, and quitclaim deed. So the general warranty deed is the one that offers the most protection. I would definitely write that down and I would highlight that and remember that. The general warranty deed offers the most protection. This one, they've gone back and they've checked everything all the way back to the sovereignty of the soil. When it was first dirt, when the government probably first owned that property. They were probably the first owner. So the general warranty deed, they went back to the sovereignty of the soil, checking everything. And this one offers the most protection. The second one, special warranty deed. This one only goes back to the ownership of the seller. They're not checking anything before the ownership of the seller. They're only going back to the ownership of the seller. The third one is the bargain and sale deed. Now, someone had this on their test the other day. They came back and they said, what is the sheriff's deed? Make yourself a little note. They may call this the sheriff's deed as well. The bargain and sale deed only has one covenant in it. A covenant is, just telling you, hey, this is what I'm telling you is the truth here. This is what I'm promising you. And what they're promising you is that the grantor has the right to sell the property. That's all they're saying. We're not telling you anything else. We're not saying we've checked anything else. The only thing we can tell you with absolute certainty is the seller, also known as the grantor, has the right to sell this property. Examples of who that could be: it could be an executor in a probate case. It could be a sheriff. It could be a trustee in a foreclosure sale. So that's your bargain and sale deed. And also put in parentheses there that you may see it called the sheriff's deed just in case, because somebody did see that on their test the other day. The last one is called the quitclaim deed. This one offers the least amount of protection. And so make yourself a note, highlight it, which one offers the least amount of protection of the deeds, and that is the quitclaim deed. This one has no warranties, nothing. They used to use this a lot of times, like in divorce situations. That would be an example where one of the spouses got the property and they needed to, make sure that everybody understood and knew that. So they would do that on the quitclaim deed. They don't use these a whole lot anymore because they offer just such little protection. So that's your quitclaim deed. So remember, general warranty deed offers the most protection. Quitclaim deed offers the least amount of protection. Teresa said she got some questions that weren't on Prep Agent or the crash course. Teresa, probably what they were, if you got a question you had never seen before, remember that they usually will put about 10 experimental questions, approximately 10, on each part of the test. Some of you have one test, some of you have two tests. It just depends on which which state you're in. Sometimes they put it all in one test, state and national type questions. Other states, they divide it up. Like I'm in Texas, we have 2 tests, a state test and a national test. So it just depends on where you are. But they can put as many as 10 experimental questions on there. And if there is something that you saw and you're like, I have never seen this before anywhere, chances are it was an experimental question. They do not count those against you as far as the score. However, depending on what state you're in, and this is where you would go into your candidate brochure and read through, the information they give you from the testing center that you read through. It says this is what you bring to the testing center. This is what you don't bring to the testing center. It will tell you on there about your experimental questions and if they count the time against you. In some states, like in Texas where I am, even though they don't count the score against you, they will count the time against you. Other states, they do not count the time against you. So that's state to state. Yeah. Does that help? That way, when you see something you've never seen, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I miss? And it's probably an experimental question. Yeah. Okay. Just checking your chat. Yeah, each state has a different number of questions, a different amount of time, all that. All right, let's talk about a valid deed. What do you have to have for the deed to be valid? Remember, only the grantor signs the deed, never the grantee. The grantor is the seller. Those are the only one, that's the only person who signs is the grantor, the seller. Grantee never does. The grantor has to be competent. That means they have to be mentally sane. They need to be able to read and understand what it is they're signing. There must be consideration. We know consideration is something of value. It does not have to be money. I think Joe has in one of his videos, consideration could be a hug. Absolutely, it could be a hug. If somebody considers that of value, then it certainly could be consideration. So there has to be some type of consideration for the deed to be valid. They're going to indicate marital status. It will say that somebody is married or they're a single person. You're going to have words of conveyance, such as the word grant. I grant you ownership of this property. There is going to be a legal description. We know there are 3 types of legal descriptions. We have meets and bounds, lot and block, and government survey system. And just on a little side note here, make sure you've gone in and watched Joe's videos on meets and bounds and especially government survey system. He has the best explanation on those. It gives you the best visual on how to understand those of any type of learning tool I have ever seen. Also, it must be delivered, and that just means that they signed it, and here it is. I'm the seller. I've signed the deed now, so nothing real fancy there. Just it's a done thing here. Yeah, sound mind, that goes under that the grantor has to be competent. Alexandria, yeah. The grantor is the seller. That's right. Yeah. All right, everybody good with this? Your elements of a valid deed. I think maybe what we should do on our vocabulary list, just from some of the things I've seen in chat, let's go ahead and put grantor and grantee on our vocabulary list for this. Let's also put consideration. So I think that would take care of probably all the things we needed to add on our vocabulary list. Now, I want you to remember that as far as a deed, it does not have to be recorded. And what they mean by recorded is it means the same thing as filed in the county clerk's office where the property is. So that means the same thing as recorded, not a requirement. Also, it does not have to be acknowledged. That means the same thing as signed in the presence of a notary. Don't you love how they'll give you several different words and it all means the same thing, which makes it very, very confusing. So remember, it does not have to be filed in the county clerk's office to be a valid deed. It does not have to be signed in the presence of a notary to be a valid deed. However, if it is filed in the county clerk's office, then it must be notarized. Do you see how confusing that question could be? what I want you to do on every single question, first of all, I want you to categorize it by topic. What suitcase is this question coming from? Oh, this is a property transfer question. And then I'm going to dissect it apart. I'm going to go back to my rules about a deed. It says it doesn't have to be filed in the county clerk's office. It does not have to be notarized. But if it is filed in the county clerk's office, then it must be notarized. So you have to dissect the questions apart to really know, to really understand and get the question right. Yes, we keep everything very current and up to date on Prep Agent. Yeah. Again, another question you could expect to get, does the grantee sign the deed? And we talked about that earlier, and we know no, the grantee does not sign the deed. It's only signed by the grantor. Only signed by the grantor. Do you all see what I'm talking about going back into your suitcase of knowledge and really when you're dissecting that question apart, applying that knowledge to the question, you'll be able to get it correct. It's a massive amount of information on the test. Your brain is an incredible thing. It can hold a lot of information. However, you have to know where you stored it so you can recall it. And that's why I use the suitcase method of categorization. If it is your first time joining us today, use this method from the very beginning. Each of my topics of webinars, a separate suitcase of information. Remember it like that, and then you'll be able to recall it for the test. All right. Why would I want to have my deed filed in the county clerk's office if it's not a requirement? And the reason that I would want it to be filed in the county clerk's office is it gives constructive notice of ownership. I'm going to add constructive notice to my vocabulary list. So it gives constructive notice of ownership. It tells everybody, hey, this is my house. I live here. I own this house. This is my house. The other thing that would give constructive notice of owning a property is if you moved into the property as well. Yeah. Sewell Enhancer, it says, can you repeat this topic? Give me a little more information about that so I can get that answered for you. And we also know that if it is decided that the deed is going to be filed, that's always in the county where the property is, always in the county clerk's office where the property is. Now, let's also put on our vocabulary list, what is a title? And a title is the evidence that one has of right to possession of the land, the evidence one has of the right to possession of the land. So that's your definition of title. I would like you to make a note to go back to Joe's videos, and he has one called Deed versus Title. He does such a great job. He uses a lunchbox as the description on that so that you understand the difference. It is so easy to remember, so make yourself a note, a little more homework for you. I want you to go back and watch Joe's video called Deed versus Title. Now let's add voluntary alienation. And let's also add involuntary alienation to our list. Voluntary alienation is when the owner wants to transfer title to another. I was tutoring a student the other day, and I was using the example of me. I love to move. When you are in real estate, you're in all these beautiful homes all the time. So it's like, oh my goodness, I like my current house, but I really like this house. I want to have voluntary alienation. I want to sell my current home, transfer title to somebody else so I can buy this new house. Then I have my husband, and he does not like to move at all. So he would be involuntary alienation, just for on a kind of a silly example there. Usually what we see as far as involuntary alienation, you did not want to move. A foreclosure, a bankruptcy, a condemnation. With my example, you could think of me. His wife said, we found this beautiful house, we need to move. So voluntary alienation, you wanted to move. Involuntary alienation, you did not want to move. Most of the time on your test, of course, they're not going to ask you the example about me, but that's just so you can kind of remember it. But usually it would be something like the house was foreclosed on, or the property went into bankruptcy. The house was condemned. There was something you could not control that required you to move, and you did not want to do so. Does everybody have voluntary alienation and involuntary alienation added to their list? Okay. Abstract of title. I have students who get so confused on what abstract of title is. And I have not seen Cynthia Johnson on here yet today. Cynthia Johnson, I don't know if you're here or not, but just so you know, the guys who are mowing the yard, every week when we do the Tuesday webinar, the next door neighbors guy who mows the yard appears about this time. And Cynthia always will say, I haven't heard the lawnmower yet, so I haven't seen her on here today, but guess what? Well, guys next door. And as I always say, if it was my house, I would just tell them to come at a different time, but I don't think they would think that was very polite if I went to my next door neighbors and said, oh, by the way, I'm busy doing a webinar. Please have your guy come mow at a different time. Yeah, Tuesday lawn mowing day, Anashan, for the people next door. And I mean, it's like clockwork. Yeah. What time is it? 11:23 Central Standard Time. So we'll see next week what time he starts. Yeah. Abstract of title. Students get so confused on this. Now I'm going to write this on my vocabulary list. Abstract of title. When the title company when they get the contract, they are very busy at work once they receive that. And they're going to order an abstract of title. That's going to be, think of it being a big stack of documents that are recorded that relate to that piece of property. So when I think of an abstract of title, I think of a big stack of documents. And they're all recorded documents that relate to that property. Don't get it mixed up with chain of title. Students get this mixed up all the time. A chain of title is going to be a list of all of the owners. They don't want there to be any kind of gap in the ownership. They want to show continuous owners of this property all the way back to when it was first a property and the government probably owned it. So a chain of title is just the chronological order of conveyancing of a parcel of land from the original owner to the present owner. So all chain of title is just a list of all the people who have owned that property. So abstract of title, remember it like this, a big stack of documents, everything that's recorded that they could find that went with that property. A chain of title, a list of all the people who've owned the property. Does that help? I'm checking your chat. Does that help with abstract of title and chain of title? Make it a little less confusing? Good. Okay. Yeah. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Now, an attorney is going to sit down with that big stack of documents and also with that list, the chain of title of all those owners. Remember, the mortgage company is making a huge investment, so they want to make sure that everything is in good shape here. It's a good title. The buyer is paying a lot of money for the property, so they want to make sure as well. So the attorney is going to sit down and review everything. They're going to go through that stack of documents. They're going to go through the chain of title. They want to make sure there are no defects on the title. They might also call that a cloud on the title. So that just means that there's something wrong with the title. If they were to find something that is what they would consider a cloud on the title, they're going to use what's called a quiet title lawsuit to fix that. Maybe they have to go in and establish who the owner was. They found a gap in ownership. Maybe there was a lien on the property that was supposed to be removed and was not released. So if they can fix it to make it a good title, they're going to do so in what we call a quiet title lawsuit. Quiet title lawsuit. All right. An abstracted title, Judy, is just a stack of documents that are all recorded documents that have to do with that property. Yeah. Lulu, give me a little more information on that. Yeah. How long does it take to fix it? It depends, Eloisa, on what it was, how complex it was, how big of a problem it was. So it just varies, and sometimes it can't be fixed at all. And if it can't be fixed, the mortgage company says, I'm not going to loan any money on something like that. And hopefully the buyer would say the same, I'm not going to invest my money on something where there's a problem with the title. Yeah, so it is just, it just depends on how long the quiet title lawsuit will take, depending on what the issue was. Okay, I have added to my vocabulary list cloud on the title, a defect on the title. I'm also going to include quiet title lawsuit. And then let's go ahead and put title insurance. One of you asked about title insurance. The mortgage, or the title company, they're human. They can make a mistake. If they make a mistake, the title insurance protects the buyer from whatever mistake it was that they had made. Now, it doesn't protect on every single thing. The contract will be extremely specific, but title insurance is there to protect the buyer in case the title company made a mistake. Maybe in that abstract of title, they missed a document. Maybe there was a problem on the chain of title that they did not see. Diana says, can you continue with the process if there's a cloud? Depends on what it is and if they can cure it. Yeah. How do you find out if there's a defect on the title before it sells? Sometimes we don't know, Christine. Your good buddies at the title company, I would talk to them about that and see if maybe they have a way to do that ahead of time. Yeah. Okay, does everybody have cloud on title, defect on title, quiet title lawsuit, and title insurance? Everybody have that included? All right. See how easy this is? This isn't bad at all, is it? Special warranty deed, Darlene. On that one, they only go back to the ownership of the seller. They don't look anything previous to that, only the ownership of the seller. David McGuire says, title insurance saved a recent sale that had an old tax lien on the property. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just double checking your chat. You are such smart students. You're asking wonderful questions, and I want to compliment you. You've all stayed on topic of the property transfer suitcase today. And that tells me that when we're finished with the webinar today, you will be able to take all this information and store it in that property transfer. If I said property ownership a minute ago, I meant property transfer webinar. Yeah. All right. What are the responsibilities of an escrow agent? Oh my goodness. The escrow agent is my right-hand person when I'm doing a real estate deal. That's the person who works at the title company. A lot of times they call them an escrow agent. So when I take the contract to the title company, the first thing they're going to do is receipt it, that they received it. The escrow agent is going to open up an escrow account to deposit the earnest money in, if there was earnest money. The escrow agent is going to order the abstract of title. The escrow agent is going to order the chain of title. They're going to coordinate with the attorney so the attorney can go in and give their opinion, review all those documents. They are working hand in hand with the mortgage company in the preparation of the closing disclosure. When we get to closing day, the escrow agent is the star of the show. I'm not. I'm a support. I'm in a supporting kind of role. The escrow agent's the star of the show. They're the ones who go over all the different documents that the buyer and seller have to sign. They explain everything. I need to always be there, though. Sometimes I'll have a document that was needed that has saved a deal before, but my job is just to be there, mostly to support my clients. This is the conclusion of all my hard work. And the escrow agent, again, they're going to be going over all the documents with them. They're going to be answering all their questions. I also find that my escrow agents are an amazing source of information. My favorite ones, I can send them an email and say, hey, I've got a question on this. What do you think on this? And they'll respond back, and they are a wealth of information. Again, remember, we're working as a big team putting a real estate deal together. So those are the main things that our escrow agent's going to do. You want to make sure you're working with escrow agents. Now, you don't always have the control. Most of the time you don't, to choose which title company it is. But you kind of want to know the people at the title companies. Some provide better customer service than others. Customer service is a huge deal to me. I want my clients all to be treated like they are the only client that the title company ever had. I want that level of amazing customer service. So very, very important that you know your escrow agents, and also it's important to thank them for doing a good job. A lot of times I'll send cookies or some little something, or even just an email thank you saying, hey, I want to thank you for doing a fantastic job. Sometimes we don't thank people enough when they do a good job. That's right. Be kind to your escrow agents. That's exactly right. Yeah. Who's responsible to correct a mistake in the legal description? That probably would be, they would have one of their attorneys do that, Sharon. No, an escrow agent is not a realtor typically. They could have a real estate license, but chances are, most of the time a title company would have said, hey, you need to inactivate that. Thank you, Avery Rice. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. On the closing disclosure, you may see some prorated items. Property taxes, HOA fees would be the two most common. Now, we talk about this in finance as well, but let's go over it again here as well, since we are talking about closing a property, so it kind of fits in here too. We know that Truth in Lending and RESPA have the integrated disclosure that we call TRID. It combines truth in lending, cost of financing disclosures, and the RESPA good faith estimate. We started using these new forms in October of 2015. If you were to apply for a loan and fill out an application, the lender has 3 business days from the time they receive your loan application to send you the loan estimate form. It shows you exactly how much all that money is going to cost you. And then after you receive the loan estimate form, then the borrower has to decide if they want to go forward or not with getting that loan, and they have 10 days to decide from the time they get the loan estimate form if they want to go forward with getting that loan or not. So that's the first form that came out of TRID. The second one is called the closing disclosure form. That replaced the HUD-1 settlement statement that we had forever and ever and ever. The lender must receive the closing disclosure form signed by the borrower. They must receive it back at least 3 days before closing. If they don't, then it will delay the closing. Also, let's say that the lender gets the CD back and it's signed, and then they decide after that they want to make a change to the APR or the interest rate or something else. That's going to cause another 3-day waiting period in order to close. So you have to work with lenders who really know all of these time periods. And then let's go back to your escrow agent. They're working hand in hand with the lender to get all of this filled out if somebody's in fact getting a loan. So we could add to our list here. This could kind of go under finance. In that suitcase, it could kind of go under this one as well. So let's just put it in both of them. I'm going to put TRID on my vocabulary list. I'm going to put the loan estimate form. And I'm going to put the closing disclosure form. Remember that a foreclosure is if somebody did not pay their mortgage, then the deed of trust, if there was a deed of trust, it says if you don't pay, you don't stay. It will name a beneficiary, a trustor, and a trustee. The beneficiary is the lender. The trustor is the borrower. The trustee is a third-party person the mortgage company chose to informally hold title, who can take that to what we call a non-judicial foreclosure sale if there's a power of sale clause in that deed of trust. Non-judicial means they don't have to go ask permission from the courts. It's already in that document. That way, the lender can recoup their money that they have lost because this borrower is not paying them. Now, there are certain time frames of notification and posting the notice of foreclosure sale. So there's some different rules regarding time on that, but that's a foreclosure. Be watching. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens because forbearance, is about over here. And so we may see a lot of properties go into foreclosure. We've got to take a look and see, are they going to give any allowances for this, any more because of COVID? So be watching and reading about foreclosures because it will be unprecedented times that we are seeing in real estate because we've never dealt with a pandemic before. A short sale, that just means you're upside down. You owe more than the house is worth, and you are asking permission from the mortgage company, hey, I want to sell my house. I can't sell it for what I owe you. Will you take a lesser amount? Let's go over your vocabulary list and make sure you have everything. Again, this all goes in your property transfer suitcase. You can call it title transfer if you prefer either one. Here's what I have on my list. General warranty deed, special warranty deed, bargain and sale deed, quitclaim deed, grantor, grantee, consideration, constructive notice, title, voluntary alienation, involuntary alienation, abstract of title, chain of title, cloud on title, defect on title, quiet title lawsuit, title insurance, escrow agent, loan estimate form, closing disclosure, TRID, foreclosure, and short sale. Alexandria says that was fast on short sale. Yes, a short description for a short sale. That's all it is. Yes, absolutely. The beneficiary is the lender. The trustee is like it's a third party that the mortgage company chose to kind of think of an informally hold title to the property to kind of protect it and who can take it to a foreclosure sale if the borrower defaults. Yeah. Oh, thank you, New Dimensions, for your kind words. Close 3 transactions and 2 in the work. Oh, that is wonderful. You are doing fantastic in real estate. So proud of you. That is wonderful, wonderful news. Yeah. All right, everyone. I gave you a few assignments today. Again, get your vocabulary list ready. Go back, make sure you're familiar with all these terms. I referenced some of Joe's videos. I think Meets and Bounds, Government Survey System, Indeed versus Title. I wanted you to take a look at all of those. And then you can go in and take a practice exam on this topic with 25 questions and then store all this information in the suitcase for this topic. All right. You did a fantastic job with your learning today. And I will see you all next week on Monday and Tuesday for the webinars. I believe Joe will be here with you tomorrow, and then Stu will be here with you Thursday and Friday. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye, everyone.